You hear it all the time on the news, right? A country's economy's up or it's down. But what does that actually mean? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this whole idea of how we measure a nation's wealth. And trust me, once you get it, it's kind of the key to understanding, well, pretty much everything.
Let's bring it home for a second. Think about your own budget. You kind of have to know what's coming in and what's going out, just to make sense of it all. Okay, now scale that up, way up. Imagine trying to do that for an entire country with millions of people, thousands of businesses. How on earth do you even begin to add all that up?
You know, the crazy thing is, the basic idea is pretty much the same. Just like your budget helps you decide, whether you can afford that vacation, a country has this big system called national income accounting. It's like the ultimate financial statement that helps the government make massive decisions. We're talking everything from taxes to building new roads and hospitals. Okay, so to really get this, we can't just jump to the final number. We've got to start from the ground up, with the absolute basics. Think of it like we're going to build that big, famous number you always hear about, GDP, piece by piece.
So, at its heart, any economy is really just this constant loop. It's a flow. Step 1, companies make stuff. Could be a car, could be a cup of coffee, doesn't matter. Step 2, that stuff gets sold. And step 3, people like us, we buy it and use it. That's it. This simple, continuous cycle is literally where a nation's wealth comes from.
So our first big idea is something called a final good. This is super important. A final good is just a product that's reached the end of the line. It's in the hands of the person who's actually going to use it. Its journey is over.
And of course, on the other side of that coin, you've got an intermediate good. This is basically anything that's used to make something else. It's just a piece of the puzzle, right? An ingredient. It's not the finished product.
This is the perfect way to think about it. Let's take something simple, like sugar. If you buy a bag of sugar to put in your tea at home, boom, that's a final good. You're the end user. But what if a bakery buys that exact same bag of sugar? Well, now it's an intermediate good, because they're using it to make the real final product, like a cake or some cookies.
And this is the absolute key takeaway right here. It's not about what the thing is. A bag of sugar is a bag of sugar. What matters is its economic purpose. How is it being used? Is it the end of the road, or is it just a step along the way?
And we can apply this same logic to another important pair of ideas. Let's say you buy a new laptop for yourself. For surfing the web, watching stuff, that's a consumption good. It's for you. But if a company buys that same model of laptop for its graphic designer, now it's a capital good. It's a tool that's being used to produce something else.
And naturally, those capital goods, those tools, they don't last forever, right? That office laptop gets slower, the delivery truck gets worn out. This gradual loss in value, that's called depreciation. Just park that idea in the back of your mind. We're going to come back to why it's important.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork, we've got our building blocks. Now it's time for the main event. Let's put these pieces together and finally tackle the big one, gross domestic product. You know it is GDP.
So here's the official definition. GDP is the total dollar, or rupee or euro value, of all the final goods and services made within a country's borders over a certain time, usually a year. See that word again? Final. That's why we hammered that point home earlier. It's absolutely crucial.
To make this super simple, let's just imagine a tiny hypothetical economy. And in this economy, they only produce one thing. Let's say packets of instant Maggi noodles.
Okay, so over the course of 1 year, our little Maggi nation manages to produce a grand total of 10 packets. That's it. That's their entire output for the year.
Now, an economy isn't just about how much stuff you make. It's about what it's worth. So let's say each of those packets has a market price of 12 rupees. So the GDP calculation is dead simple. You take the 10 packets, multiply by the price of 12 rupees each, and you get a total GDP of 120 rupees. And that's really the heart of it. We're just taking everything a country makes and sticking one single number on it.
Okay, so let's circle back. Why were we so hung up on only counting final goods? It's to avoid this really common mistake called double counting. Think about it. If we counted the value of the flour that went into the noodles, and then we counted the full value of the finished noodles, well, we've just counted the flour twice, haven't we? That would totally mess up our numbers.
Now here's where it gets really cool. Economists figured out that there are actually 3 different ways to measure all this stuff. And the best part? It's like taking 3 different roads that all lead to the same city. No matter which path you take, you should end up with the exact same GDP number.
So, what are these three paths? First is the product method. That's what we just did with the noodles. You add up the value of everything that's made. Then there's the income method, where you look at all the money that was earned, so all the wages, profits, rent, all of it. And finally, you have the expenditure method. You guessed it, this one adds up all the money that was spent. Production, income, and spending, three sides of the same economic coin.
Let's zoom in on that last one, the expenditure method, because it's the one you hear about most often. It's a simple formula, C plus I plus G plus X minus M. C is for consumption. That's all the stuff you and I buy. I is for investment. That's businesses buying new equipment. G is for government spending. And that last bit, X minus M, is net exports, basically exports minus imports. And if you look at the chart, you'll almost always see that C, our spending, is the biggest piece of the pie. It's a huge deal.
All right, we've gone through all this math and all these definitions, but let's get to the real question. Why should you even care? What does this giant number you hear about on the news actually have to do with your everyday life?
Well, it turns out, a lot. When GDP is growing, that usually means the economy is healthy. It means more jobs are being created, and there's a better chance for people to earn more money. It tells us how productive the country is. It helps the government decide how much to spend on things we all need, and it can even give us a clue about whether we're set up for growth in the future.
So when you boil it all down, GDP, with all its moving parts, is really just a powerful snapshot. It's one number that gives us a quick, vital look at how a country's economy is doing. It's a super important tool. But, and this is a big but, it's just a snapshot. It's great at measuring economic activity, but it doesn't really measure things like happiness or the environment or our overall quality of life. Which leads to the big final question we should all be asking. Does a country getting richer always mean its people are getting better off? Now that is something worth thinking about.